Imagine you're walking along a beautiful Scottish loch and you see the most perfect horse that you've ever laid eyes on. It seems tame, inviting you for a ride, but the second you climb on its back, you realize your skin has fused to its hide and it's galloping straight for the bottom of the lake. What's up going on, everybody? My name is Jason. I'm a fantasy author obsessed with building out worlds out of old stories like this one, and welcome to Myth HQ. Today we're talking about the terrifying monsters of Celtic mythology, a world where the beautiful is deadly and running across a simple stream could be the only thing that saves your life. Let's start with that beautiful horse by the water, the one that's about to drag you to a very wet grave. You've just met a Kelpie. These spirits haunt almost every river and loch in Scotland, and they are masters of deception. The Kelpie usually appears as a lost, magnificent horse, often white or gray, sometimes with the bridle already on, just waiting for a tired traveler. It's an irresistible offer, but the moment you touch it, you're stuck. Its skin is like flypaper and there's no getting off. The Kelpie then plunges into the water, drowning its victim before tearing them apart and eating everything but the liver. Charming, right? But as bad as the Kelpie is, its Highland cousin, the Icusia, is considered even worse. While a Kelpie haunts rivers and streams, the Icusia lives in lochs and the sea. It operates the same way, luring you in with its stunning horse form but with a terrifying twist. As long as the Icusia is inland and can't see or smell water, it acts like a perfectly normal horse. You could ride it for miles, but the second it catches scent of the water, it makes a mad dash for the depths and your fate is sealed. And then there's the Nucalavi from the Orkney Islands, a creature that makes the others look like petting zoo ponies. Imagine a horse's body but with no skin. You can see the raw red muscles and the black blood pumping through its yellow veins. Fused to its back where a rider should be is the torso of a man, also skinless, with a massive gaping mouth and long arms that drag on the ground. The one thing that terrified the Nucalavi was fresh running water. Just crossing a stream could save your life because this monster, an embodiment of drought and plague, couldn't stand it. Its very breath could wilt crops and sicken livestock, making it a threat to entire communities. Thankfully, it was believed to be imprisoned during the summer months by an ancient sea spirit, which a lot of the farmers were probably very grateful for. Celtic folklore also has its share of creatures that drink blood, and they make Dracula look surprisingly straightforward. In Ireland, there's the story of the Darga Dhu, which means red blood sucker. Her story isn't one of pure evil, but of tragedy. She was a beautiful young woman in Waterford, deeply in love with a local peasant, but her father, greedy for wealth, forced her to marry a cruel older chieftain who abused her horribly. Broken-hearted and tormented, she eventually died of grief. She was buried near a tree, but on the 1-year anniversary of her death, she rose from her grave. Consumed by a thirst for revenge, she first visited her father, sucking the life from his lungs. Then she found her abusive husband and drained every drop of blood from his body. She found that blood sustained her undead existence as she began to prey on young men, using her beauty to lure them to their deaths. To this day, the legend says that locals pile stones on her grave each year to keep her from rising again. Her story is a grim reminder that the evil people create can come back to haunt them in the most literal way. By the way, my team and I fund this channel ourselves. No ads in the middle of the video, no sponsors, no affiliates. But I do make mythology-inspired fantasy novels. I've got a whole library of them in a shared universe where every mythology from history is real. And it's how we keep the lights on here. I think you'd really love the stories. If you're interested, the link is down in the description. Now, if you want a vampire who's just straight up evil, look no further than the Avartak. This creature was a nasty dwarf chieftain from ancient Ireland who was also a powerful dark magician. He was so cruel that when he died, his subjects were thrilled. They buried him standing up, as was the custom for a chieftain. The next day he was back, demanding a bowl of blood from the wrists of his people. A neighboring hero named Cathan came and killed him, but the Avartak just rose from the dead again and again. Finally, a desperate Cathan consulted a druid who explained that the Avartak was already dead, so he couldn't be killed in the normal sense. He had to be neutralized. Following the druid's instructions, Cathan stabbed the monster through the heart with a sword made of yew wood, burying him upside down, scattered thorns over the grave, and placed a massive stone on top. The grave allegedly still exists today, a permanent prison for a creature that refused to stay dead. Some Celtic monsters don't kill you themselves, they just let you know you're about to die, which might somehow be worse. The most famous of these is the Banshee. Known in Irish as the Banshee or Woman of the Fairy Mounds, she is a female spirit whose cry foretells a death in one of the old Irish families. She doesn't cause the death, she just grieves it in advance. Her appearance varies. Sometimes she's a beautiful young woman with long flowing hair, other times she's a frightening old hag with red eyes from constant weeping. But it's her voice that defines her. Her wail or keening is said to be the most sorrowful sound on earth. It could be a low, sad moan for a peaceful passing, or an ear-splitting shriek for a violent end. To hear the banshee's call meant that someone in your family, or maybe even you, was about to meet their end. In Scotland, a similar figure known as the Benigna, or the washerwoman, would be seen at a river ford washing the bloody clothes of those who were about to fall in battle. But for pure active terror, it's hard to beat the Dullahan. This is the original headless horseman. He's a dark fairy who rides a powerful black stallion on certain Irish festival nights. In one hand, he carries a whip made from a human spine. In the other, he holds his own grinning, severed head, which he holds up like a lantern to see across the countryside. No locked gate or barrier can stop his charge. When the Dullahan stops riding, he calls out a name, and once your name is called, your soul is drawn out and you are doomed. Even witnessing him is dangerous. He might flick blood in your eyes just to blind you, or you might just die from sheer terror. The only thing said to hold a Dullahan at bay is gold. Apparently, this demonic specter is afraid of it, for reasons no one is quite sure of. Not every Celtic monster is a soul-stealing demon or blood drinker. Some are just there to mess with you. The most famous of these is the Puka, a shape-shifting trickster. Like the Kelpie, the Puka often takes the form of a sleek black horse with glowing yellow eyes, and it loves to tempt people into taking a ride. But where the Kelpie is a killer, the Puka is just a thrill seeker. It will take you on the most terrifying ride of your life, storming through hedges and over fences at impossible speeds. But in the end, it will dump you back where you started, shaken but alive. The Puka is wild and mischievous, but not truly malevolent. It's also said to be intelligent and capable of conversation, sometimes even offering wise advice if you can get over the fact that it just tried to give you a heart attack. On the far more violent end of the spectrum is the Redcap. These are small goblin-like creatures that haunt ruined castles and old battlefields along the border between England and Scotland. They are described as having long teeth, talon-like fingers, and fiery red eyes. They wear iron boots and carry a heavy pike, and they are unnaturally fast. They get their name from their gruesome habit. They murder any traveler who wanders into their home and dye their hats with the victim's blood. They must kill regularly because if the blood on their caps dries out, they die. The only way to repel a redcap is with the symbol of the cross or by reciting scripture, which causes them to vanish in a flash of fire, leaving behind only a single tooth. So, maybe avoid old ruins in the Anglo-Scottish borderlands after dark. These stories are more than just campfire tales designed to scare people. They are deeply woven into the Celtic worldview, explaining a world that was both beautiful and incredibly dangerous. The Celtic peoples had a profound connection to the landscape. Features like rivers, lochs, mountains, and ancient burial grounds known as seed were seen as portals to the otherworld, a realm inhabited by supernatural beings. Water monsters like the Kelpie and the other ones that we covered weren't just random monsters. They were a personification of water's dual nature. Water was essential for life, but it was also a deadly force capable of drowning people without warning. These stories served as powerful cautionary tales, especially for children, teaching them to respect the dangers lurking beneath a calm surface. Many of these beings, like the gods and goddesses of the Tuatha Dé Danann, were once worshipped as deities, but when Christianity arrived in Ireland, the monks who wrote down these oral traditions had a problem. They couldn't very well write about a pantheon of pagan gods, so they reframed them. The powerful Tuatha Dé Danann were demoted from gods to the Aishi, the people of the mounds, what we would now call fairies. They were explained away as either ancient magically skilled humans or as fallen angels who weren't good enough for heaven or bad enough for hell. This allowed the stories to survive, but it also changed them forever, turning divine figures into the fickle and often dangerous fairy folk of later legends. These monsters served as guardians of boundaries, not just physical ones like rivers, but social ones, warning against greed, cruelty, and trusting appearances. The world of Celtic myth is vast, and it's a huge inspiration for the fantasy universe that I write in. If you enjoyed diving this deep into the mythology, I think you'll love what we're building in the Fantasy All-Access Library. It's a group on a platform called School where our community hangs out. As a member, you get all of my mythology-inspired ebooks and audiobooks, plus at least one new book every single month. And we do also weekly live calls where we discuss mythology and writing and fantasy books. If you want to go deeper than these videos, check out the link in the description, and I will see you in the next video.